Hello and welcome. I'm Ijoma Onyato. Tonight, President Muhammadu Buhari calls for restraint against reprisal attacks as he visits Plateau State over recent killings in the state. Former Education Minister Obi Ezekwesili takes lone protest against killings across the country to the presidential villa, faults the president for retaining service chiefs. President Buhari inaugurates Africa's first automated rice seedling factory in Calabar, Cross River State. And United States Supreme Court rules in favor of President Trump's travel ban, targeting people from several Muslim-majority countries.
On Business News tonight, Business Law Section of the Nigerian Bar Association to hold crucial meeting with the Securities and Exchange Commission on planned review on Investment and Securities Act 2007.
While on sports news, the gallant Super Eagles of Nigeria bow out of the 2018 FIFA World Cup after a narrow defeat to two-time champions Argentina in their final Group D game.
And from Abuja, Mayor of London optimistic of better trade ties between the United Kingdom and Nigeria as Vice President Yemi Osinbajo hosts delegation from London Business School.
Tonight with President Muhammadu Buhari's visit to Plateau State following recent attacks on 3 local government areas in the state. And his visit comes less than 24 hours after the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, visited the state and held a meeting with community leaders on how best to handle the crisis. The President, in his condolence message to the government and people of the state, promised to ensure the arrest of the perpetrators, but cautioned against reprisals to avoid escalating the crisis.
This is not a courtesy visit by President Muhammadu Buhari. He's here in Jos, the Plateau State capital, to console the people over the attack which reportedly killed 86 people in the most gruesome manner. He's straight to the government house for a meeting with interest groups, religious and community leaders who each have high stakes in the goings-on in Plateau State. President Buhari's words are direct. The leaders of constituencies should apply themselves more to prevent such needless violence.
What happened here is very bad. And the costume of leadership from your household to whatever you are is justice. The bottom line is justice. This is why when I go, normally after terrible incidents, I get the leadership of the communities, the law enforcement agents, and tell them to please continue to have control over their consequences.
Describing the act as what it is, the governor of Plateau State urges the president to ensure justice is served and also wants a mop-up of all weapons in the state.
This current attack, Your Excellency, Mr. President, is very disturbing and alarming. We are concerned as a state that sophisticated weapons used in these attacks, from the evidences on ground and the narrations of victims, are not those conventional to our environment for self-defense or reflective of a terrorist invasion. I feel obliged to request that you direct security agents to immediately commence arms pop-up in these areas of conflict. We subscribe to a house-to-house and community-to-community search for illegal weapons that have been stockpiled in the state.
This is the second time the president will be visiting Plateau this year with the same words for the people of the state. Live peacefully to ensure the violence does not rear its head again.
And there you have the former Minister of Education and co-convener of the Bring Back Our Girls campaign, Mrs. Obi Ezekwesili, staging a lone protest to the presidential villa in Abuja. This time she's not demanding the release of the abducted girls, but criticizing the president over his stance to retain the service chiefs in the face of the incessant killings by suspected herdsmen across the country. But she could not push the lone protest far, as she was stopped by security operatives attached to the first screening gate at the 3-armed zone leading to the presidential villa. She, however, expressed her worries to Channels Television.
I refuse to be an accomplice to what's going on in this society now. In this match, I went as far as I could be allowed to the villa to say to the president, stop the killings. Stop the killings. Nigeria cannot be a vast canvas for killings of citizens. Stop the blood flow, especially of innocent children. If the president continues to show his loyalty to an incompetent security infrastructure that is there and permitting the deaths of our citizens, if he prefers his loyalty to them because of their loyalty to him as a person, in utter disregard of their loyalty to the Nigerian people, I need the president, who takes pride in talking about his personal integrity, to know that such action is abuse of power.
In the meantime, governors of the All Progressive Congress have condemned the Plateau killings, describing it as unfortunate. The chairman of the APC Governors Forum, who's also the governor of Imo State, Governor Rochas Okorocha, who spoke on behalf of the governors, is asking Nigerians to unite, irrespective of their religious, political and ethnic differences, to stop the killings. Governor Okorocha also told a crowd of APC supporters at the Sam Mbakwe Airport in Owerri that he's planning to reconcile all factions in the state following the just concluded party congress.
Fortunate that as we speak now, there's serious tension in Jos, and the Governors Forum will be going there on Friday to assess the situation. But any action that tends to take anyone's life is highly condemnable. So I, with the rest of the governors of APC, condemn in its entirety this unwarranted killing of innocent souls and shedding of blood in our lands. And it's obvious that we must know that Nigeria is a nation right now at war. Our challenge in this case is that we have not been able to define our situation. We have called them insurgents. We have called them Boko Haram. We've called them all kinds of names. But the summary of it all is that the world needs to know that Nigeria is a nation at war. And once we'll be able to declare our enemies, then we can fight this battle properly. So we shall no longer hide under the coverage of crisis and insurgents and all kinds of baptismal names given to this crisis, and not letting it know that we're at war with some group of people.
And the U.S. mission in Nigeria has reacted to the killings in Plateau State. The embassy, through its Twitter handle, condemned the destruction of property in the Middle Belt region. It says the American government is concerned by the rise in armed violence against civilians and calls on all political and community leaders to lend their voices to peace and work together to find lasting solutions to the rural crisis. Further tweets from the mission says the U.S. is investing with Nigerians in a partnership for people, peace and prosperity. It said too many deaths had been seen in Nigeria, despite hopes that they would stop, but that Nigeria's leaders and citizens have it in their power to stop the killings if they are united across all regions, occupations and faiths. Away from the crisis, and after 5 days in the custody of the Department of State Services, the lawmaker representing Abia North Senatorial District in the Senate, Senator Naya Abaribe, has been brought to court for another case by the security operatives. Senator Abaribe was brought to court in connection with the order of the court, which asked him to show cause why he and 2 others should not forfeit the 100 million naira bail bond they signed to effect Mr. Kano's bail. Our correspondent Amaka Ukafo reports.
Senator Naya Abaribe at the Federal High Court in Abuja in the company of friends and family awaiting the arrival of Justice Binta Nyako. The lawmaker representing Abia State at the National Assembly has been in the custody of the Department of State Services in the last 5 days. When the judge arrives, counsel to Senator Abaribe, Mr. Chukwumume, attempted to raise the issue of his client's detention with the DSS, but the judge interjected and informed him that such a case was not before her court and that she was not aware why the lawmaker was arrested. According to the judge, the case before her is for Senator Abaribe and the two other sureties for Mr. Nnamdi Kanu, the self-styled leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, to show cause as to why they should not forfeit the bail bond they signed for the missing accused person. Justice Nyako told Ume that he knows what to do with respect to his client's detention. She, however, asked the DSS to allow Senator Abaribe access to his lawyers because doing otherwise will be denying him his fundamental right to justice. Having cleared the air, the parties announced that they have filed their motion to challenge the order of the court. Lawyer to the third surety to Mr. Kanu wants the court to make an order of arrest for Mr. Nnamdi Kanu. At this point, counsel to Kanu also told the court that he ought to be served, and since he was not served, the court had to adjourn to enable parties serve him and also give him time to respond. Attempts by journalists to find out from the lawmaker why he was arrested was prevented by operatives of the Department of State Services who shielded him from talking to journalists. Senator Abaribe's counsel, however, had this to say.
When his house was searched, what they found were nothing but his impunity. If you are talking about sponsoring a proscribed body, you must be of somebody who has bags of Ghana must go of the dollar and the pounds and the naira to be sponsoring it. None of them was found.
Outside the court premises, supporters of the lawmaker chanted songs of solidarity, asking the DSS to release the lawmaker. Amaka Ukafo, Channels Television News.
And Senator Abaribe has now been released from custody. Staying with other legal matters, the Lagos High Court has again dismissed an application seeking to quash the charge brought against suspected kidnapper Chukwudumeme Onwamadike, popularly known as Evans. Evans is facing two different charges before the court. In the first, he's charged alongside three others, Joseph Emeka, Ugochukwu Nwachukwu, and Victor Aduba, for offences bordering on conspiracy to kidnap, kidnapping, and attempted murder. Evans, however, asked the court to quash the charge, and in his application, he said that all the counts in the charge were grossly defective, repetitive, and an abuse of court processes. At the resumed hearing today, Justice Akintoye said that the processes filed by both counsel to the case identified three major issues for determination. Justice Akintoye said that for a prima facie case to be established, the proof of evidence must sufficiently link the defendants with the offence. The judge also held that the charge was not an abuse of court process, adding that every distinct offence should be charged separately. Evans is being tried alongside three others on charges of alleged conspiring to kidnap one Chief James Uduji for collecting a ransom of $1.2 million and for attempts to murder the man. The defendants allegedly committed the offences in Festac Town here in Lagos. In part two, after the break, we'll get an insight into the Cross River State Automated Rice Seedling Factory, and we'll be joined by the State Governor, Professor Ben Ayade, to review the idea behind the big project. That's in a moment. Please stay with us.